My name is Jack Suchanta and I am the lab assistant for ME340. And behind me is the ProtoTRAK SMX manual mill. And I will be showing you how to operate and perform the lab. So this is the basic controls. This wheel knob will control the Y-axis. This wheel knob will control the X-axis, and up here is the quill, which you can unlock with this knob, and you can lower and adjust it for the Z-axis. This is the ProtoTRAK controls unit. Down here is your select menu, or this mode button is used to return to the main menu. To start off, we can go into DRO, which will display the current position of the mill. As you know, this moves the Y-axis, this moves the X-axis, and the quill will move the Z-axis. And then I will be introducing the tools. So this one is the 1/2" flat end mill. This is your 1/4" drill bit, and this is known as your edge finder. To start off with the safety, please don't wear any jewelry or bracelets or anything that can get tangled up or caught in the machine. And of course, your safety goggles, which are a must. To begin, get your parallels and then put it in your vise. Then get your stock material, which is 1/2" by 3" by 3" aluminum, and place it into the vise. You can use the handle to open it and drop it in. Make sure your parallels are flush against the jaws, and then you can slowly tighten it. You can remove the handle and tighten it pretty tight. Don't force it too much, and that's pretty much it. To begin, get your edge finder and unlock the quill. And make sure the quill is all the way on up. And you can insert the tool. There are 2 notches in here which line up with the 2 notches on the tool holder. And you can insert it, and you can rotate it a little bit until it goes into place. And here you can press the in, and now your tool is inserted. To begin, go into your DRO mode, which allows you to move it and position the tip of your edge finder to as close as you can to the corner of your stock. To lower your spindle head, you can go into DRO mode, jog, and then change the value to negative and press the Z-axis. This will slowly bring it down. Get it somewhat close and stop, and then click mode to return to the main menu. You can go back to DRO mode, which allows you to move the edge finder. So get it as close as you can to the side edge, and you can lower the quill. You want to get it as low as to where it passes the top of your stock, but not too low to where it hits the top part. And you can lock your quill in place. Now you go into your spindle speed and type in 1000 RPMs, an absolute set. Now you can go into the top left, which will allow you to turn on and off the spindle. So turn it to number 2, which is to the right. As you can see, the edge finder is rotating off the center axis, which means it's working. If it's not doing that and it's spinning smooth, what you can do is turn off the spindle, and you can push the edge finder off its axis, just like this. And then you can turn it back on again. Once it's spinning like this, you can slowly move the Y-axis closer and closer. Now, one thing you want to do is change up here. There's an F and a C. This changes from the fine and coarse movement. Switch it back to F and fine. Each turn, the handle will be more fine, and you can slowly get close to it. What you want to do is keep turning until it breaks off, and you can back off a little bit until it's smooth again. And you will have to mess around with it back and forth a little bit until it's perfectly smooth, and then it breaks, and then back up just a tad bit, and now you are perfectly at the edge. Now what you want to do is press X and press absolute set. This will zero it. Now turn off your spindle and release your quill, and you can bring it up. Now move your y-axis until it is 0.1. There you go. Then press X again and absolute set. Now the center of the spindle will be perfectly at the edge of your stock. Now you repeat the same thing for the y-axis. Move your spindle over, lower your quill until it passes the top of the stock, and then you can lock it. You can move it over a little bit and then offset the edge finder. Turn it on and slowly move it closer. Now repeat what we did with the x-axis until it's smooth and then it breaks off. And you can back up a little bit, smooth, move it in, and it breaks off, and then back it up just a little bit. There you go. And you can turn off your edge finder. Same thing. Press your X, absolute set. Now you can unlock your quill, and bring it back up, and then now move it over until it's 0.1. And press Y, absolute set. Now you have found the corner of your stock, and now you can proceed. What you want to do now is jog and bring up the Z-axis, return, and now we will be swapping out our edge finder to our tools. Firmly hold the edge finder and press out. This should drop your tool. What you want to do now is get your drill. This is your 1/4 inch drill. Insert it and hold in. Now to set up our tools, we want to go into setup, tool table, and this will set our offset. So position your stock to roughly the center. Go back to DRO mode so we can lower the spindle. Go to jog, negative, and lower it down. That is enough. Return, and now you can lower your drill so it barely touches the top. So don't force it, but you can feel it touch and lock it in place. Now to set up, go to mode, setup, tool table, and press absolute set. As when it says not set on the Z offset, press absolute set. Now diameter, to set up the first tool, which is our drill, we set the diameter as 0.25, which is 1/4 inch. The Z offset, press absolute set, and we will designate this as a drill. Set. Now, the tip of the drill will be the top of the stock, and that's what we would like. Now you can release the quill and bring it up, and now switch out your tools. Make sure, remember to hold firmly and press out. Now we can insert our 1/2 inch end mill. Insert it, make sure that you line up the notches and press in. Now we can go back into mode, go to DRO, and now you will have to jog the Z-axis down since it is a little bit shorter. So make sure you go into jog and then negative Z. Once you're close, go back to mode, setup, tool table, and now you can lower your end mill to where it touches the top of the material, and you can lock the quill. Now for the diameter of our tool, it is a 1/2 inch, so put 0.5, and the offset, press absolute set. Absolute set, and this is our rough end mill, so number 3, set. So now all our tools are set. Now to begin our program setup, we go back to mode, go to DRO, go to jog, and bring our Z-axis up. Now switch our drill bit back in. Make sure your quill is unlocked and brought all the way up before removing your tool. Now insert your drill. Now to set up our programs, we would go into program, go to begin, and this is where we set up the events in the programs. Now to set up our first event, which is the holes, we go into Program, go to Begin, and we will be doing a bolt hole. Now this will give us our input, and now we just give it the data we want. It's telling us for 1 is a drill, 2 is a bore, and 3 is a tap. In our case, we want a drill. The number of holes will be 4. The X center is the center of the pattern, which in this case is 1.5 for the X and 1.5 for the Y. Our Z rapid is where the machine will come as close to the stock before beginning the operation. We will set this as 0.02. And our Zn is the bottom of our operation. In this case, make sure it's negative 0.125. Our radius is the radius of the pattern, which is 1.27. And our angle we set as 45. The number of pecks we set as 1 since it's just a drill. And our RPM we set as 800. Our Z feed rate is 3. And the tool we're using is tool number 1, which is our drill. Now, to set up our other events, which is our rectangular pocket, we go into Pocket, Rectangular Pocket, and now we input our data. The X1 and Y1 will be the corner of the pocket, and in this case is 0.75, 0.75. Our X3 and Y3 will be the top opposite corner, which is 2.25, 2.25. Our Z rapid is 0.02, and our Zn will be a negative 0.125, which is the bottom of the pocket. Our Conrad we will set as 0, and our direction we will go clockwise. The number of passes we set as 2 passes, and the entry mode will be a zigzag, so 1. Our finish cut we will set as a 0.02. Now our RPMs will be 2,000. Our finish RPM will also be 2,000. And our Z feed rate is 3. Our XYZ feed rate will be 10. And our finish feed rate will be 10. Tool number 2, since we are using the end mill, and that is a rectangular pocket. Now our third and last event will be the profile, which we go into Profile, Rectangular Profile, and insert our data. Now the bottom left will be your X1 and Y1, and in this case is 0.38 for their Y, and your X3 and Y3 are the opposite corners, which is 2.63 and 2.63. Our Z rapid is 0.02, and our Zn will be negative 0.125. Our Conrad we set as 0, and our direction as clockwise. Our tool offset, this would tell us, this will determine where the tool is relative to the stock, and in our case we want it on the left side, so 2. And the number of passes we set as 2 passes. Our finish cut will be 0.02, and our RPM is 2,000. Finish RPM is also 2,000. Our Z feed rate is 3. Our XYZ feed rate will be 10. Finish feed rate also 10, and tool number 2 for our end mill. And that is how you set up all your events. Now before you begin your operation, you want to go into your setup, your reference position, and make sure it is somewhat above your stock. And you can press absolute set. Once it's set, you're all good. Now before running your program, what you want to do is go to setup and check your tool path and make sure everything is correct. If it's not correct, you'll have to go back and readjust your inputs. But from this, this is how it should look. And once you're satisfied with it, you can go back. Now, before you run, there's a couple things you want to check. One is make sure your quill is locked. Make sure your area is clean and there's nothing impeding it. And now we can start the program. Press run and start. Now this is your override corner, which directly allows you to change the percentage of the speed. So for this case, you want to change your speed and lower it down to about 30%, 30 to 20%, which allows you to safely manage and watch the machine before it starts. But now, once you're all ready to go, press go, and it will move into position. Just follow whatever it tells you to do step by step. So first, load in our tool, which we already have in. Next, start our spindle. and then press go. Before you press go, make sure you have your thumb close or around the stop button in case something were to happen or you need to stop it, then press stop. But now we can begin. Press go. Now one thing you can do is move in the coolant. You can aim it close and switch it on with the little switch. So slowly aim it right at the tip, which allows it to cut cool. So we can see it running good. Now we can turn up its speed back to 100% and let it run. Now the first operation is finished. We can turn off our coolant, move it out the way, and now the screen tells us to put in our next tool, which we would do. Remember to open your quill, make sure it's all the way up, and then press out while holding it firmly. Now insert your 1/2 inch rough end mill. Press in. You can adjust your coolant close to where it will need to be, and then follow the steps. So first, turn it off, turn it on, turn down your override speed down to about 30%, and then press go. You can now turn on your coolant. Once it looks good, you can turn up your speed now, back to 100%, and let it run. Now once the operation is finished, you can turn off your coolant and move it all out the way. Now a good rule of thumb is to always measure your part before removing it out of its vise. And in our case, it looks good. Now your part is removed. You can also deburr it by cleaning off its edges with your deburr tool. You can also file this or sand it, but in this case we would just be using the tool. And just run it along all its edges. There you go. Nice clean part. Now once you're finished, make sure you clean up your workspace. So begin by removing your end mills and cleaning off the area. And don't forget to remove your parallels from the vise, and you can clean up inside it too. Now you are finished.